Three, two, one. Hello and welcome to What a Player Concussion Sub, where we are here to discuss day two of the final test of this enthralling BGT and what a start it's been to the year 2025. I have with me Vaibhav and Purval from Bangalore. Purval, you guys have met plenty of times in the past. Vaibhav, first of all, thank you very much. Welcome to What a Player. Quick introduction about yourself, and then we'll straight away move to what's been an enthralling day, the cricket in Sydney.
Absolutely. Something about me. I am currently a Bangalorean because I'm here from last 16 years. But before that, Mumbai and around the globe. Basically from Chhattisgarh, Raipur, and an avid cricket fan from my childhood because I think every Indian by DNA is a cricket fan. Whether it is in India or whether it is in anywhere else, you just follow cricket, and that's how you make more connect. So, I mean, we have in our apartment MJR Pearl a cricketing group, actually a wellness group where we are very passionately following all the sports, specifically cricket, and that's how we have a lot of arguments, discussions, and that's how Purval asked me, why don't you give your opinion in somewhere else also? So that's how I turned up here.
Perfect. This is the place. And if you were not a cricket fan, all you had to do was tune into this test match and you would love test cricket. If this is what test cricket is, then I think you would absolutely love it. Purval, I'm going to come to you. What happened yesterday and Sam Constas riling up the Indians, then Khwaja gets out of the last delivery. 9 wickets remaining, and they have what? We have 185 on the board. What were you thinking? We all tuned in nice and early, late for me, but we all expected India to bounce back really hard today.
I remember, one statement, that I guess it was KL Rahul who said that if you go after one of us, 11 will all 11 will go behind you. Okay, so that statements prove correct over here. The things how it ended up yesterday, it was expected to be a spicy and a fiery morning today. Okay, we all were tuned up, and we were waiting for Jasprit Bumrah to take Consta's wicket, but unfortunately we could not. That DSP Siraj came in and he took up the wicket, but really well on the bowling side by Indian team. Excellent performance. Let it be Prasidh Krishna, who is just coming up for the last test, and Siraj was also pumped in, and of course, Jasprit Bumrah, it won't be possible. So it was expected. The first session, really went well for India, where they took 4 wickets probably, and Stephen Smith's wicket was a coffin and nail. So everything was expected. The only thing out of box which came was Webster. Okay, he playing the debutant, the first test, and a wonderful knock. I need to really appreciate that guy was playing under immense pressure. So that was really a wonderful innings. Of course, few disappointments, and we still don't know what Bumrah's injuries, how much Bumrah is injured. Is he going to bowl in second innings or not? But really disappointed with the Indian batting. Had a high hope.
Yeah, we'll come
Okay.
to Indian batting. Let's get Vaibhav's. I think the highlight of the morning session was when Siraj got Travis Head out. He had given him a nice send off earlier in the series, but that delivery was so good. Vaibhav, word on DSP Siraj. He has been under pressure. Last game he did bowl really well. I thought he did really well. He was on the verge of being potentially dropped, but all things considered, what he did today was amazing.
So I have this opinion on Siraj. Even if you look at our T20 World Cup, people might say we won because of some player. I'd say it's the heart of Siraj. Think of Siraj giving Amardeep that opportunity. Instead of him playing, being a senior player, he went. He actually did not be part of the team because he knew that he was not the right bowler there, and he stood and supported the team. He's that type of guy. I mean, he's not that bowler who will make you win. but he's that guy who would give his 120%, much like what Kohli does. And Kohli has been the biggest disappointment of this series, but at the same point of time, Kohli being on ground. So even if you look at today, right, when Bumrah had to unfortunately leave, Kohli actually brought that fire. You see the type of catches that were being held, and you see why we lost the previous test is because we lost, we dropped so many catches, right? It may be just by luck or by chance, but that energy that people like Kohli, even not performing, just being there, their aura, that makes the difference. And I think that's where our DSP Siraj comes in, right? We know we will abuse him that he's not taking wicket, he's not he's not making run, but he has more not outs in this series than any other batsman, both the teams, right? Every time he stood as the last man standing, so you have to appreciate that guy, right? I mean, he can do only that much, but he's a big heart guy, so I really love him, and I always want him to be part of team. Maybe he's lucky for us. Maybe we may see a draw in this series, maybe because of DSP Siraj, because you remember there are 4 wickets left. If we can survive for next, maybe if we add 50, 60 runs also, this is, and again, I think of last 14 matches in last 20, 30 years, only 2 test matches where 200 runs were to be scored in last inning were won by the team who was doing the fourth inning. So I think odds are definitely in our favor. So I hope Bumrah comes back, and also we just keep small targets, and that's where I feel someone like Siraj who can hold one end without getting out will be very crucial. So Siraj, both in terms of bowler, having I mean, big heart, going even after. I think he gave 5.6 type of average run in previous test because everybody was taking him for beating, but he ended up taking 3 wickets last test also, right? So he's there. He's going to be there. Maybe as a second fiddle, but I see him being part of our team in all overseas, at least in Sena.
Yeah, Purul, as you mentioned, something about these debutants who come and smart smash 50 against India. You had Constas the previous game, now you had Webster, and you thought at 137 for 5, the game slipping away. But full credit to Prasidh Krishna for stepping up, first getting Steven Smith and then getting Webster and another wicket, and had the best bowling figures. Award on Prasidh Krishna coming into the game for the first time in the series.
See, Prasidh Krishna, he is integral part of the team. Most of the squads which he has traveled, for India, he was in Australia earlier. He had played practice match also, so he was ready. The bench was already been prepared. So I had no doubt on his capability, and a person like Akashdeep going or having injury and sitting on the bench or moving out due to injury, and Prasidh, he was full fledged ready, and I see that intent in him yesterday. When you saw this guy was not even part of playing earlier, but when you saw the out of Khwaja, he was the one he was charging towards Consta, along with Bumrah. He was the one who was making furious attempt and kind of things, and he was passionate about the game. So that is he was ready for this thing and this match, and he was prepared to be playing for this particular match.
Crucial role vibe by Nitish Reddy as well. Bumrah's out, getting scanned and stuff. He did well to get a couple of wickets. He was getting hammered, going at 5 runs and over, but he did well, and India just sneaked in with 4 runs lead, albeit negligible, but still a lead nonetheless.
I mean, to be frank, Nitish reminds me of Dada, right? The same way, a great batsman and very sharp bowler. I still remember that series, I think in, I don't know, Nairobi or somewhere, where Dada was kept on getting 5 wickets, haul and all. He was a good bowler also, right? I mean, so I mean, maybe he's just right-handed, but I think that guy has good future. He just need to ensure that the success does not get over his head. And I think from whatever we have seen, his family, both are very humble, very rooted. So I hope he remains rooted and not getting, overwhelmed like someone like a Prithvi Shaw or maybe a Kamli, which we are seeing. I just hope he goes in the right path. And I mean, he has a future, bright future, at least as a batsman all rounder.
Low scoring first innings are always great. So first innings done pretty much at par. Urval, then you have Yashasvi Jaiswal coming in. I don't know what did he have for lunch or during the break. He smashed four boundaries to Mitchell Stark, who's been his nemesis, so as to say, in the series. At that moment, I thought this pitch has suddenly changed. Now we're probably going to get 200, 300. But great start, 42 for no loss, and then you had those string of wickets. Talk me through some of the dismissals.
See, I was really happy with kind of start, as you said, 42 for no loss, where India were both the teams, not only India, both the teams were struggling to score runs, and we were almost 46 for including lead for no loss. I was very happy. But again, the way the Indian batting had collapsed, all credit goes to Boland. Okay, no way, few of the delivery with the KL Rahul delivery was unplayable. The movement in the ball, even same goes with Yashasvi Jaiswal also. The ball movement was really, really well. And I was reading one of the article as well, McGrath said, Glenn McGrath said that I have been playing 14 years in SCG and never seen a green top like this. It was shocking not only for India, for Australians as well as Australian media. Sydney is typically a spinner friendly wicket, which we all know, and that's why I guess we gone ahead and played two spinners. But unfortunately, Washington did not bowl any single over in the first innings. I hope the spinners come pretty much handy, and I was pretty much happy till the time the wicket of KL Rahul. Even Jaiswal went because they both showed intent, but afterwards I was really disappointed with the Indian batting.
Weber, I mean, the biggest disappointment for all of us is the dismissal of Virat Kohli. I think you can just put it on loop, and 8 out of the 9 dismissals probably exactly the same. And he was visibly really gutted. I think he showed his reaction and really real frustration after all the runs he's probably left out during the series. And Australia has been a great, happy hunting place for him. It's a real disappointment. Apart from his energy on the field, which is always there for the team, it's a poor batting performance from him through the series.
Absolutely. And I think it's a bit of arrogance as well, right? If you see, I mean, even a rookie will not make the same mistake so many times, right? And getting out fishing, knowing, and there are many times when he made 20s, 30s and got out in the same fashion. And what it does is, I mean, you look at Rohit also, right? Rohit could not score even one. I think he just made 110 runs in one of the inning of 6 innings that he played, and he took a conscious call. You don't know whether that was pressure or it just for media spectacle. He came and said that it wasn't. But I think it's time, right? Because what I actually heard in commentary, very rightly said, is Australian commentators were speaking that people need to make ways to the new generation. And I think what is important, we have seen the new generation for our team. I mean, I definitely see KL Rahul will be one of the senior guy who would remain in the team, but folks like Jaiswal, maybe Nitish Reddy, we have other I mean, Gill is there to take reins from Kohli. I think it's time for them. I mean, you look at Sachin, right? I mean, Sachin is not respected because he made all those runs. Sachin is respected because despite getting almost half, 10 to 15 of his centuries getting knocked off because of wrong decision by umpire, but he did not even say a single word. Sachin is respected because he's a gentleman of the game. I don't think there will be any Sachin ever because after having that much of achievement, he's still so humble, right? That's that, and he also realized that when the time we all were saying that he's just playing for his 100, right? And I think that's where Kohli also has to understand, right? I mean, he needs to be a great. He has already lost to his peers, whether is someone like a Steve Smith or maybe Root or Williamson. Look at their form, and in last 4 years, Kohli hardly has any aha movement. So I think it's time for Kohli also to seriously take a look, maybe take a back seat. Anyway, he wants to focus on his personal life. Maybe it's time for him to also part ways with Test and One Day as well, and focus on his personal life. To be honest, I mean, I am a big fan of Kohli, but it's right time. When it is right time, you go respectfully. Otherwise, we all remember what happened with Dada, right? You don't want a great leader like Dada. And I mean, I still remember that day when Dada was playing his last match, and this guy, Dhoni was the captain, and he made him captain at the end, like when India was winning, right? He gave him a fitting farewell, right? I think Kohli also has to retrospect, and maybe it's time for him to move on as well.
Urval, I think it's getting more and more difficult for all the Kohli fans to try and defend him. He's come to a point where I think he should opt out of Test cricket. What do you think?
See, difficult, as you said, as a Kohli fan, we do not want him to go. Okay. But unfortunately or fortunately, the thing is that it is the time. I feel the introspection. So, let's go back to the Rohit's interview today. Okay. What he said, and what I really appreciate about that particular guy is, he did introspection, and he said that I do not want any journalist or anybody else sitting in a press box or a newspaper or anywhere else telling me or writing me about myself and letting me know that when is my time. I have played, I am a kid, a father of two kids. I have played enough cricket, and I know, when is my time to retire. I do not want anybody else to tell. So same thing, Virat Kohli should also do, introspect about his performance. When he, he knows that, nahi ho pa raha hai usse, it is not possible, it's not working out. Take break or take a rest, or go back to domestic, or probably make a way for somebody else, because एक बार गलती हो सकता है, दो बार गलती हो सकता है. Now, the whole series, you cannot keep on repeating. There are, people like Ishwaran, Sarfaraz, who are, warming the bench. उनका भी सामने एज निकल रहा है. Their peak period or their purple patch might, be left out. So they also need to definitely think. I do not want Kohli to retire or kind of things, but unfortunately, there is no option which is been left with fans to think about it.
Yeah, I think Kohli hopefully will go on a high, but the way he's played this series, it's really disappointing. Although I must say there is no comparison between Kohli's stature as a Test batter and Rohit or anyone else. I think he's way ahead of anyone, so he deserves a much longer rope. Hopefully, if he can have a decent run of form in the limited overs cricket, he gets picked for the England series and he can retire gracefully, because I think the chances of India making it to the WTC final is getting slimmer and slimmer. But Kohli gets out. The next one hour probably the best cricket we've seen this series. Rishabh Pant, call him what you want, smashes the first ball, charges the back.
Stupid.
Unbelievable. Those 30 balls he played, got 60 odd runs. That's probably going to be the difference in the end if India has to win this game. Weber, what do you think?
So, I mean, I have a very different opinion, and I have always, we have a WhatsApp group in our apartment where we discussed about cricket, right? So, no doubt he's a very flamboyant player, right? I mean, and I like, right? I mean, that type of chivalry and that type of showmanship is there. But Test cricket is there for perseverance, persistent. It's not like you come and play like T20. I mean, obviously everybody has a way of playing, but just look at the difference between Qantas and Weber. Today, if you see Weber, both have debuted in this series only, right? And in the match, Sam Qantas also made 50 plus 61, I think. And then this guy also made. Look at the maturity and difference. And if I ask you a question, who would you want in your team? Whether you want a Sam Qantas to play in your test squad or you want a Weber to play. Although Weber is also a bowler, but just basis on what Weber did, right? So what I am saying is, you look at Australia, who's the numero uno undisputed king in all mode of cricket, whether it is T20, one day or Test. The reason is that they don't have that attachment with player. They have put player in their zones, that this player is for my T20, this player is for my test, this is for my one day, and everybody fits well there, right? What we are trying to do is we are trying to overfit people because of their popularity, because it will gain more viewership. We should not do that, right? Because what we are doing is we are diluting our test culture, right? I mean, again, test is going to survive, but if we do these type of things, this is the first time when the test match after so many days, so many years, going for fourth and fifth day. Earlier, all the test matches were getting finished in 2 to 3 days when they are played in India or maybe somewhere else also, right? So I mean, test test match is a pure play, actual batsmen and or people who are true cricketers the time, right? And I think that's where I don't find. I mean, although I like Pant a lot, but I don't think he has it in him. At least till now, that type of. I mean, he can't be a captain in Test cricket because I mean, he's just made for that T20 mode. And that's where I think somebody like a Jurel, right? I mean, he can adopt situation adoption. That's something I feel. I mean, he did try last time, but I think he's missing that in him, right? And I mean, he has to mature up. I mean, no wonder he's one of the best guy that India has produced. But test needs a different mindset, and we don't want to turn test into a T20, right? I mean, we all like that somebody is hitting hard and all, right? But at the end of the day, somebody has to stay. If you're losing your wicket on that stupid shot, you look at the last test match. I blatantly blame it on Pant. We actually lost both first innings collapse and second innings collapse thanks to him, because we were in stable condition and it was him who played a stupid shot, and that resulted in we losing. I mean, Australia had spread their feet in the fifth day, considering that it was a draw, and when the Pant's wicket gone, and rest is history, right? The same thing happened in India New Zealand match also, where Sarfaraz made a 150. This guy did 100 and he lost his wicket, and next we see is we lost from there, right? So I think a player who loses his or her perspective or his calm at the key juncture, which leads to this, has to be taken on a very cruel. I mean, what Sunny Ji said is correctly right? I mean, because it's you have to stay there to win the match. You can't win a match with a quick fire 30-40.
I think I've got a big difference of opinion on that. I think yes.
I would, I would have a little bit of difference of opinion because, when your top five were not able to perform, he was the one who came, so there is one of the fan question, how would you rate Pant's innings? So I particularly feel that, that was the game changing, as you said, game changing innings. And I really enjoyed, those 30 balls. They were, game. The difference which is going to be in this particular test match. It doesn't really matter, what is the point? There are players who are playing 60 60 balls or 80 balls, but unable to score, they're scoring 5 runs or 10 runs, correct? Usse better to ye hai कि you come, you do boom 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 boom, and you hit it, and you go, you die on your terms, you fight on your terms, you live on your terms, you die on your terms, that's what I really enjoyed. And apart from that, one thing I would again have a difference, that there are 11 more players still in the team. अगर पंत इतना खेल रहा है, attacking खेल रहा है, बाकी लोग defensive खेल सकते हैं. Why only to put him under the bus? There are other 10 players also in the team who should equally take responsibility along with Pant.
Yeah, in terms of rating his innings, I think this is as good as 100. We've never not seen a Sydney wicket which is this difficult to bat on. So to Ajay's question, I think this is as good as his 90 or I wouldn't call it the Brisbane innings because that had a different context and it was the whole series was on the line. This innings will depend how good it is depending upon what the result is. If India goes on to win this by 10-15 runs, then this will be one of the best innings of the series. But of all the days of cricket we've had, I'm in London. The matches start, apart from the day-nighter match and the Perth match, the matches started around midnight. This was the first time I've stayed up all night to watch the game because it was that good. So I don't mind 2 or 3 days test matches. This was, you blink an eyelid and there's something happening. So it was amazing to watch. And I was really disappointed with Pant getting out because I thought there was 100 for the taking. The Australians were rattled, and runs is what you need on the board. So hopefully India can get some more runs. But a word on Weber, word on Shubman Gill's dismissal. I mean, I can take Pant's dismissal because he plays that way. Shubman Gill, Webster coming into was charging down the
Both
track.
innings.
Even worse, yeah.
Both innings. First inning also, last ball before lunch to Lyon, he did that stupid thing. And he's somebody I really like to be the future of Indian Test cricket, right? And I think today I said in our group discussion earlier that if today Rahul anchors the role like what Dravid used to do or like a Pujara used to do, he is the future Rahul and Pant. And he also kind of disappointed me by playing some uncharacteristic shot which was not required. I mean, in test, you have to hold one end, right? I mean, that's the thumb rule. If you know the other guys, look at today what our guy Ravindra Jadeja did, right? He really frustrated the bowlers, and here was our guy Pant who was smashing them left, right, center, right? So I think that's the beauty of test, right? You have to see the change in weather whenever the batsmen change, right? And unless if both start playing the same way, or unless you are somebody like a Dravid or a Pant or a Pujara who can block 100 balls and still it doesn't matter to them, it doesn't go into their psyche. You have to have that difference, right? If both players start blocking, then eventually pressure will get on you. If both start hitting and lose the wicket, then our great collapse will start. So I don't know. I mean, today I was really disappointed on Shubman Gill. I definitely think that he's the successor for Kohli, but Kohli never played like this in his early days and in his prime, right? When Kohli goes, I felt that Sachin's right replacement was Kohli because you can rely on Kohli to win the match for you, and I don't see the same happening with Gill, right? Because he's like one day he can. I mean, it's like mood swing, right? It's not consistent, and I think that's very disappointing.
Yeah, I think Shubman Gill is really disappointed. I think he's still living off his 90 odd in Brisbane from the last tour. He's done literally nothing outside of India. So about time he realizes his potential. He's the best 2030s player, it seems. He always has a decent start, 22 in the first inning. Even today, 15 runs of or 13 runs or whatever he was on. It was just uncharacteristic of him to get out. And then I thought Ravindra Jadeja's innings probably made Nitish Reddy try and go over the top, and he lost his wicket as well, which is
Yeah, I mean, two, three things which is really baffling me is what is the hurry of changing the ends for Indian ball? I mean, if you look at Ravindra Jadeja, he almost runs the half pitch. Even the ball is going into hand of fielder. I don't know, and everybody is doing that, right? I mean, it's a test match. Come on, relax. If there are 10 straight maiden overs, the pressure will be on the bowling team, not on you. So, I mean, I don't know what's the hurry in Indian team that everybody wants to show their flamboyance. I don't know if they want to please their IPL bosses to show how well they can play, how fast they can run. But I think it's a counterproductive thing into our test mindset, right? We have to probably um, acclimatize that, right? But one thing I'll definitely say, what Mr. Gigi means Gautam Gambhir could not do. He could not unite the team. Mr. Sam Contas did that yesterday, and I think that's the best thing out of this tournament. That at least now you see the entire team playing as a unit, and whenever India played as a unit, I have always seen them winning from even worst condition.
Yeah, I think it does feel that under Bumrah, the team has a different body language, and it just feels different on the field. I think Bumrah's probably got a bit more as a leader of the pack, and the entire team seems to sort of gel together. It's superbly poised, 145 ahead. How many more do we need, Purval, with or without Bumrah?
See, of course, there is a huge difference. With Bumrah, probably 200 should be enough. Without Bumrah, I think see, the good thing is that Australia has a lot of time on their side. Even if we play one session tomorrow or two sessions, they will have still 2.5 days with them. which is like enormous time. So my guess is that we will this test is not going to be a draw. We will have 100% a result. uh with Bumrah probably 225, without Bumrah 300, 325 probably.
I
We
mean,
are
this is
really
not a. I mean,
much. Yeah.
stats wise, nobody is able to make more than. I mean, nobody is able to win more than two times if the score is. I mean, if they have to get 200 runs and above in the last inning, right? So I mean, and again, it's a very difficult. It's a green top. What we are conveniently forgetting here is this is not an easy pitch. Even in the first day, there was uneven bounce, and we have to really applaud today the mindset with which both Shubman Gill, although he lost his wicket, or Yashasvi Jaiswal played, they just dominated, right? Because if that first over 16 runs wouldn't have gone, or a wicket would have gone, India would have been out within 50. That's my hunch. Because then the pressure would have gone completely on India. And when even Pant was playing, everybody was frustrated in entire Australian team. Unfortunately, he gave a very easy wicket, but I mean, it was easily running away from them. But still, I would say advantage India. And a 200, if we, and I, again, I mean, when we used to play cricket, we used to always think that we have to have a small target. Tomorrow, when the team starts, they should take like first 10 runs. Let's first make 10 runs. Then we'll look at next 10 runs. If we go with the mindset that I have to create 60, 70, 80 runs, then you know that pressure itself will make you succumb to pressure. So I personally feel that they should not go with like a big target in mind. They should say that okay, I have to survive first few overs, make whatever runs that I can make, and then wait for adding 10 runs each. And I think Jadeja is smart enough, and Washi also is a good batsman. So I mean, I honestly feel that these two guys could see us through. Maybe if first 10 overs, that's the wind has already changed towards India tomorrow.
I think we need a 50 from Sir Mohammad Siraj tomorrow. I think he's our savior. Without Bumrah, I think we need at least 200 for a decent chance.
Yes.
But it'll be
Yes.
interesting to see what this pair does, because this is what is the recognized pair, and I can't see Jadeja suddenly scoring a lot of runs the way he's played today. So hopefully he can hold an end up, and Washington Sundar can get us a few runs. Any
Yeah,
luck?
And tomorrow, one more thing, the weather prediction is it's going to be very sunny. And tomorrow, as per the match reports and the curators, tomorrow would be the best day to do batting.
When Bumrah bowls, it's never a best day to bat. So hopefully Bumrah will be back. No back spasms and everything. Take a few injections, then you can rest for the next few weeks. We don't care about Champions Trophy. Someone else can take care of it. Don't care about IPL as well. But this is what we need. Entire India is hoping that one is we get some runs, and two, Bumrah can fire with the other guys, and we get a result out of this and end this at 2-2 and retain the BGT. Vaibhav, Purval, thank you so much for your time, and people who've engaged, thank you very much. If you haven't done so already, do subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you soon tomorrow, hopefully, at 2-all end of BGT. Thank you.
let's
Come
hope.
on, India!
Come on, India. Bye.